Hey there, it's another edition of the GP Car Guy from the Grand Prix Auto Group. Today we're going to talk about financing and financing at the dealership. First thing you need to do is you have to understand your finances, okay? You need to know your credit score. Is it good? Is it bad? But knowing your credit score is really important. You also need to have a budget. A budget is really important when you come into a dealership. Not only do you have to know exactly what you're spending on food, what you're spending on rent or mortgage, what you're spending on your utilities, but you also have to understand and have a budget for a vehicle purchase. So when you're thinking about vehicle purchases, you have to talk about, okay, what's my monthly payment, right? What am I currently paying on a vehicle? What do I anticipate to pay on a vehicle? But on top of that, you also have to have a budget for things like gas, fuel. What are you putting into the vehicle? What do you spend per month currently on the vehicle you have? And what do you anticipate to spend on the new vehicle? Are you going to spend less? Are you looking to spend less in fuel? So there's some fuel savings possibly if you're getting a newer vehicle. You also have to talk about maintenance costs. When you're doing your vehicle budget, what are you spending per month to maintain that vehicle that you're currently driving versus purchasing a new one or maybe a newer one? When you're thinking about that, consider things like oil changes. You know, there's 4 oil changes typically in a year if you're driving the average kilometers, maybe more if you drive more. On top of the oil changes, do you spend anything if your vehicle's maybe got higher kilometers currently? Are you spending money per month making a repair? Consider one costly repair. If you had to do that over the course of a year, maybe it's $1,000 repair. Well, if you break that down, that's almost $100 per month that you have to allow for in your current budget. If you upgrade to a newer vehicle or a new vehicle, you possibly could have that as savings. So make sure that's part of your vehicle budget. As well as insurance. There can be varying rates of insurance for the vehicle depending on whether you're in a newer vehicle or you're going into something that maybe is a different category of vehicle, or maybe it's just your driving record has changed and therefore insurance will differ. So have those things. So we've got monthly payment, we've got fuel costs, we got maintenance, and we have our insurance. So those are the 4 big things on your vehicle budget, plus your basic budget, food, rent, utilities. When discussing your budget with the dealership, you want to save time and money. We all want to do that when we're buying a vehicle, so we want to make sure bring that up early in the process. Make sure you let your either salesperson or the dealership know ahead of time what your budget is and include all the things we just talked about. But make sure you let them know that upfront so that this way they can truly help you. Again, it's all about saving time. It's all about saving money. So I want to make sure that you guys know exactly what you're buying and what your budget is there for. Discuss any credit issues. Again, you want to talk about if you've had any little hiccups or anything in the past that maybe didn't work out so well for you, or, you know, bad things happen to good people, and sometimes we can help you and we can assist. Again, it's about saving time and money, and we don't want to either disappoint you or maybe have something talked about that's going to be harmful to your credit in the future. So again, let us know ahead of time if there are any hiccups. Cash versus financing. Lots of times we have consumers or customers ask us about, do I want to finance my vehicle or is it a better deal if I pay cash? Well, I want to talk a little bit about those 2 things. Firstly, we talk about, as a dealer, we act as a broker. At the end of the day, we're here to broker your deal with the banks and lending institutions. We work on your behalf. We want to get you the best rates. We want to get you the lowest rates. It's all for your benefit. Again, there's no incentive to us. It's really an incentive to you, and it's a service that we provide. So work with your dealership to make sure you're getting the best rates you can. On top of that, we do millions and millions of dollars a month in terms of financing with all the different consumers that we have. So when it comes to that lending power, when we pick up the phone to talk to the bank, we're talking on behalf of a portfolio that has millions of dollars versus the average consumer may purchase a vehicle only once, twice, maybe 3 times over the course of a lifetime, maybe only have 1 or 2 mortgages over the course of a lifetime. So we often have a better bargaining power position on your behalf because of our lending power. Our loans are always open, and when I mean open, I mean that you guys don't have to pay any kind of fees or penalties to pay out early. So that's a convenience that you can have with financing through a dealership, is there's no penalty. You want to pay a lump sum up front or a little extra cash every month, you want to add to that loan, there's no penalty. You can pay it off as soon as you can. So when structuring your loan with your dealer, please make sure that you also allow for some flexibility in term. I often coach and let people know that, you know what, instead of making the term too short and that all of a sudden now you're pushing your budget because you want to fit within a certain term because you've always felt you wanted to be in that term, allow yourself maybe flexibility. Go maybe an extra year on top of that flexibility so that it gives you the advantage to have a lower locked-in payment, and that flexibility, if you want to pay it off faster, you can at any time because it's open. Okay? Opportunity cost. When you talk about cash versus financing, you have to consider the opportunity cost. And when I say opportunity cost, that means what could you do with your cash otherwise? Instead of running to the bank, grabbing a lump sum of cash, bringing it into the dealer, consider, could I invest that cash? You look at the current rates on lots of vehicles are anywhere from 0% or maybe 0.9, 1.9, even 2.9. There are some very low attractive rates that we can secure on your behalf. If you're lending or borrowing money at that low interest rate, yet you can invest, let's say, even in as simple as a GIC at the bank at maybe locking in at 4 or 5%. Well, if you take your money, lock it in at 5%, you're borrowing money at, let's say, 2%, that difference of 3% is yours to keep if you keep that money invested. So sometimes financing can be to your advantage. You can also have something like that GIC making the payments for you. So cash versus financing is definitely something you want to consider. Lastly, you want to, in cash versus financing, is you really have to understand the dealership. Often people come in, well, if I pay cash, do I get a better deal? And the truth of the matter is, we don't get anything more from the bank versus you. A check is a check is a check. And at the end of the day, whether it's your check or the bank's check, we just receive the funds. If you do financing, you make the arrangements, and on our behalf, we work with you through as a broker. We get that loan set up, and then the bank issues us a check, and now your relationship is with the bank. Or we can get your check and pay by cash. So there's no difference in terms of cash versus financing. And lastly, we do work with those banks so that this way you have the flexibility to pay off those loans or add lump sums anytime. You can do online banking, telephone banking. It's a very convenient world out there for you, and we're here to assist. Again, I want to thank you for watching this GP Car Guy clip. It's a lot of fun bringing you all this information. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or online at gpautogroup.com or .ca, because we do own both.